Hi there, my name's David Smith from Webb's Garden Centres. I'm the outdoor plant area manager, so looking after all our outdoor plants. Wanted to show you a few nice things that we've got in store at the moment that will look good in your garden for now and a little bit beyond. One of the first things for a bit of instant colour, we've got lots of nice little hanging baskets. These are all kind of spring flowering ones. A little bit later we move into the summer ones, but obviously that's a bit too early for those at the moment. So these will go straight out now. They've got some violas, primroses and a little bit of evergreen foliage plants. So they'll give you a nice little bit of instant colour. This time of the year they don't need too much watering, but just keep checking the weight is a good way to find out. Lift them up, feel if they feel heavy or dry, give them a water. Any of the flowers die over, you can pick them over, it'll make them regrow. Then when they've eventually gone over, you can use the basket again to plant up your summer bedding, and all the plants here could be taken outside and then planted in your borders. The primroses will come again, and all the little foliage plants, so that's kind of reusable as well. Very much the same in this planted container. Again, you've got a nice bit of instant colour for this time of year. Drop it on the patio, and it's got instant colour. You've got your primroses, your bellis, little evergreen euonymus there, which is really a little hardy outdoor shrub. So again, when that's started to go over, you can take the plants out, plant your primroses, a little bit of arabis there, and those will all carry on next year in your garden. So you're kind of recycling them really in a way. And then you could use a container again, plant your summer bedding up when the weather warms up and it's good enough to put summer bedding out. So that's two instant bits of colour. Got a few different plants here that just look nice in your garden. This is a classic lavender, so it's got it's a French style, so it has the purple heads of flower with almost a little rabbit's ears. Nice purple flower, lovely fragrant. If you could smell, it was smelly vision, you could smell the foliage, and that's really nice. Your typical classic lavender that likes to grow in a nice dry sunny spot, kind of plants of the Mediterranean really, but that's a nice sunny dry spot, and really let it grow and do its thing. The maintenance for it, once you come to the autumn, late winter, you can prune back the soft growth, and that will just hide it up over the winter. And then early spring you can cut it back quite hard, probably to 6 or 8 inches, and then that means it will push out all new growth, and the lavender flowers on new growth. So the more new growth it pushes out, the more flowers on the lavender, and so you get more growth, you get more new growth by pruning it back, and so that will put a lot of growth out. But again, very easy to grow and look after. Rhododendron here. This is a good evergreen plant. This is quite one of the taller growing ones, so it'll grow probably a good 6 feet. This variety has a purple flower, but there's reds and whites, and nice range in different coloured varieties. You can see they've got the flower buds there, so depending on the weather, when you get to about April or May, they'll be flowering and give you plenty of colour. A good plant to grow in the shade. They do like a soil that doesn't have lime, so you can plant them with ericaceous compost. That's a compost that doesn't have lime. Good way of knowing if you have that right soil is looking around in the gardens. Does your garden, do your neighbours grow rhododendrons? If they do and they're growing, then that should be fine for your area. But failing that, an ericaceous compost, or you can grow them in a container. Looking after them wise, again, shady spot. Once they finish flowering, you'll get the dead flower, and you can actually just pinch the flower. I won't do that because that's going to take that flower off, but you pinch that flower and you take the old dead flower off, and then that will encourage it to put new growth out again and grow well. Again, all of these plants, just make sure they're planted well with some compost, and you keep them well watered once we get into the warmer weather. Another nice little springy plant is the syringa, or the lilac, syringa being the Latin name for it. Lots of different ones to choose from, generally pinks, purples, dark purples, and the kind of creamy whites as well. As you can see on this one, it's got lots of buds coming there, so that's your flower. We always like to choose, when we buy them, quite big established plants, because you know that they're going to have flower buds. And you can see this one particularly, that's why we chose it, I guess, because it's got loads of really nice flower buds coming. We'll make a small tree. We'll get to kind of 6-8 foot tall. It can be pruned back. It flowers on the old growth, so the growth here with all the flower buds on it is last year's growth. So when it's finished flowering, you can take the old growth away. That will encourage new growth for next year. So as soon as it's finished flowering, take out some of the old growth. That gives it New Year's growth, and that will give it more flowers for next year, and it'll keep it a more compact plant. Again, most garden soils it'll grow in. Sunny spot, take a little bit of light shade, but probably one better in the ground rather than a pot, because it's potentially quite a big plant. So I put it definitely into a border. So, but a good fragrance, I didn't mention that as well, unfortunately. That's got a real nice fragrant flower too, so really nice, worth having for a spring flowering one. Ferns, we've got lots of different types of ferns. I must admit, I do like ferns myself. There's so many different foliage shapes, obviously all greens, though there is a silvery one, but generally all greens, but nice different foliages. Great for growing in a container, in just fronts of borders. Sometimes you can use them in containers just mixed up with other plants in a summer basket or a summer tub. But again, easily grown. Some grow are good in shade, some will take some sunshine. Most of them generally are evergreen. The little tip for looking after those is, once they've gone through the first winter, give them a trim back, and the new foliage will come through and look really fresh. If you leave the old winter foliage on, you have a bit of old and new, an old bit of damaged foliage, bit of new foliage. So take out the old foliage. I've got to show you this one new plant. When I say new, it's about 2 years old now. It's called Senecio Angel Wings, and it's got a lovely soft silver foliage. Could be the answer to our loo roll crisis, possibly. But it's a real nice plant, and so many people are commenting on it, how unusual it is. And it grows really quick. I've got one at home, and I only had it last year, and it's really filled out and grown. And anybody coming to my house, because it's in my front garden, they always ask about it. So it's just a really nice foliage plant. And again, sunny spot. Mine sat outside all winter, and it's been quite hardy, and it's survived quite well. So nice, unusual, something a bit different. Last thing, I think, we've got Alliums, which are kind of a right on trend plant. It's grown as a bulb, so it'll die right down, but then as you can see, it's shot up quite nicely now with a few inches. It'll keep going, and it puts out the big heads. This one's a purple head of flower. It'll grow up to probably about 1 metre tall, and then it'll flower. The flowers will die down, and you can leave the kind of dead flower heads on, but eventually then the plant will look untidy, probably by early summer, and you can cut it straight down. A good place to plant it is probably in a mixed border, so other plants can grow up and around it, because once it's finished, it will die straight down, and you might have a bit of a spot, a bit of a hole. So plant it with some other plants, and it can grow up and through it, and that gives you some really nice colour. And one other little plant that is a really good flowers for ages and ages and ages is the Iridium, or the wallflower. This is an orange one. There's reds and purples. It's in bud now, and it'll flower literally all the way through the year, sometimes through into the winter. Not a massively long-lived plant, you won't have it forever, but it flowers and flowers, and it's such good value because it's just easily grown. Nice sunny, well-drained spot, but the flower on it is just unstoppable. It just keeps on going, so a real good value for money flowering plant.